So recently we started this new series of the Ultimate Production Desk Setup version 2, and I know that some of you on the channel have become a little bit sick of me doing desk setup build series. One more and then I'm done, okay? I've been saying this for years. I personally do these series because I'm really curious about what's possible in terms of desk ergonomics and the tech that we can implement on here. But I was looking at the design that I came up with last time around, and it was basically like a minor iteration upon the production desk setup that I already have, right? And that's fine because this desk setup has been the core behind the channel. It's been the main workhorse behind all of the YouTube videos you've seen over the past year or two. So that's amazing. But there's this thing, this nagging idea in my head about ergonomics. Like, we have really ergonomic chairs with lumbar support and adjustable armrests, and the whole thing like goes backwards and you can move the whole thing up and down, which is cool. But as far as we got with the desk setup is that we have an up and down motion with sit stand legs. I'm just really curious, how far can we take a setup with a really strange design in terms of ergonomics? Now, this video is primarily creative work, but there's also a sponsor involved, and that sponsor is PCBWay. More on them later. So the first thing I want to get sorted is putting some aluminium extrusions on sit stand legs. So this design is adjustable to fit most sit stand legs on the market. I'm using these sit stand legs from Vernal. They sponsored a video a while back, and the reason I took that sponsorship is so that I could do this build eventually. So we basically took the frame of the original sit stand legs here, drilled some holes in those and added some bolts, and then added a little mounting piece so that we can connect the aluminium extrusion. And this is going to provide the base where we can connect all of the rest of the hardware that we want to implement on this thing. The next thing I want to integrate is some kind of mounting location for all of the control interfaces. So that's the keyboard, the mouse, and maybe an edit pad of some sort. So this entire design was based around the original setup, and I just held my hands in a place that would be comfortable, and that decided the length of the inner piece over here and the slanted pieces as well. Now, with this design, we'll also be implementing the keyboards and the accessories with 3D printed inserts, and the reason I want to do this is because this entire component also tilts, so you can ergonomically adjust it to whatever seated position you're in. So working with aluminium extrusions is really awesome because you just design it in a CAD program, you have the exact measurements there, and most of the manufacturers that sell you this stuff allow you to input the measurements that you need. So the entire desk setup has already been designed and it's already constructed. The only thing that we really need to do is put the components together. Most manufacturers also offer you the ability to add a thread on the outer ends, so we can actually connect these pieces right to the end of the columns over here, and that looks really clean. The main component I was a little bit skeptical about is this main angled connector. These connectors are going to allow this entire section to move independently from the rest of the setup, so I'll be able to tilt up and down, and in that way I hope it's more ergonomic to use in certain positions. Of course, these connectors need to be extremely strong because otherwise you'll experience a ton of wobble, or maybe the setup just collapses in on itself, and that doesn't really help the situation. But I was really shocked to find that these things are incredibly strong if you order the right ones. So I ordered two versions, and the ones with the black handle on the side are really strong. The ones without the black handle, I can't tighten them enough to get them to support this entire structure. And I wanted to use those for the screen, which is the next thing we'll be working on. Now, of course, if you're tilting down this entire bottom section, you'll also want to be tilting the screen. And in this regard, we're basically using two components. So we're using these angled connectors, which will snap some bits off so that it actually fits. And we're also using some connectors which are adjustable. And the nice thing about this, as I mentioned earlier as well, is you can always upgrade this component to hold more screens later down the line, right? You adjust it with some extra aluminium extrusions that are mounted on the side, for example. And then that way you can upgrade it more sustainably than the setup that we built before this. Just a quick reminder that if you enjoyed the video at any point, then leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on a future build video, otherwise it doesn't end up in your suggested feed. All of these actions really help me out. It helps me produce higher quality content on the channel. Also, check out the Patreon page. I upload pretty much all of the designs that I have over on the Patreon page, so you can download those, adjust them to your own needs, for example. And all of the proceeds also go directly back into the channel, so it helps me rely less on sponsor deals. Now, as you can see right here, this is why I recommend buying the hinge connectors with the handle on the side. The issue with these is I'm not able to tighten this bolt hard enough to where it actually provides any resistance whatsoever. And it's simply not strong enough to hold up a monitor, which is kind of frustrating. But I put some normal angled connectors on this thing just temporarily, just so we can check out if there's any other solutions in the future, and for now this will have to do. There's a fair few monitors that I've considered for this project, but in general it should be able to accommodate any kind of monitor. In this case I put a portable monitor on here from UPerfect. After that I moved up the base mount plate a little bit so that we can accommodate a larger ultra-wide monitor. Now I'll leave a link to all of the stuff that I'm using in this project down in the description down below, but just note that I'm open to any kind of monitor on this setup still, and I have been considering getting one of those ultra-wide monitors, which would look really funky on the setup, but also really quite cool. So in prior desk setup builds, I used 3D printed inserts to make the desk visually look a lot more appealing, while still being able to upgrade the components without it being stuck in the desk setup. For this setup though, it's almost more essential because we have this entire front section which tilts up and down, and we don't want the keyboard and the control interfaces to fall off essentially. And if you don't have a 3D printer, you can always check out today's sponsor, PCBWay. PCBWay offers a lot of high-end manufacturing services ranging from PCB production and assembly, CNC machining, sheet metal fabrication, injection molding, and of course also 3D printing. Now for all of the control panels that I have on the main production desk setup, those were sent off to PCBWay to be printed in resin in UTR black. And that entire setup looks really awesome right now. So I'll definitely be sending off some of the components that we 3D print for this setup over to PCBWay as well. And we might actually print them in really funky resin, which is like see-through. And that way, if we put LED strips on the inside of the setup, then it would light up a little bit, and that'll be quite awesome to see actually. So stay tuned for that, and special thanks to PCBWay for sponsoring this video. Definitely check them out. I left the link in the description down below. So I 3D printed all of the inserts, but the way we'll be mounting this on the setup is still a little bit up in the air. So I had actually considered using a CO2 laser to construct panels out of plexiglass. In this case though, I'm using the Atom Stack Glacier to cut out some panels out of multiplex. Now I do actually enjoy using the multiplex as it's a nice contrast towards the aluminium extrusions, but it does leave a burnt mark on the side, and if you touch that with your clothing, it will rub off on it. So we might need to take these panels off someday, paint them with some lacquer just to make sure that that doesn't happen. As for the control interface here, I wish I had thought about this a little bit longer. I wanted to implement it onto the aluminium extrusions, and instead of 3D printing a component that just slides in, allows it to be mounted in that way, I drilled some holes in the aluminium extrusions. And it works fine, you know, I just bolted everything in place, but it's very destructive. Like there's 2 holes in this aluminium extrusion now. Now on the side of the U-shaped component, we need to put some multiplex plates, and this entire U-shaped component is ergonomically designed so I can have some edit pads on either side, or maybe a trackpad on one side and an edit pad on the other. And we'll also just be adding some 3D printed inserts in this one. Now the initial idea with this entire setup is to make it as ergonomic as possible for work related tasks. So my main idea is to add an M5 Pro or Max chipped MacBook Pro to this setup and make it mostly around editing and that kind of stuff. But I've also been concepting this idea of making it a really awesome gaming station, because we can add some additional aluminium extrusions to this component and put some joysticks in there, for example. You can also add a steering wheel to the main U-shaped component. I'm interested in the gaming side, but I haven't played games in such a long time, so I wouldn't really know what would be best for what type of games. You'll have to let me know in the comment section. Now I'm also adding some bottom components to the main interfacing deck over here, just to keep the cables out of sight. Now initially I thought I'd make that back component completely closed off with a multiplex sheet, but then I realized it would be really neat to laser cut some additional components which can also be swapped out for additional tech and hardware, even though they'll stick out a little bit more because there's not a lot of room inside of the setup at all. So I 3D printed some additional inserts for these back components, and those are a little bit smaller. Now of course there's quite some things that I'd like to figure out as we go along in the build process. In the next episode we'll be 3D printing some components to add a keyboard. We'll also be constructing an edit panel from scratch to go into the left side panel, and we might implement a trackpad or trackball in the right side panel. In terms of the screen, this one's really old, so I would like to upgrade that at a certain point as well. I will be adding some additional aluminium extrusions to the sides over here so that we can accommodate any kind of speaker that we want. But that was it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it gave you some inspiration, and hopefully see you in the next episode.